Hey there, everyone. Come along with Con and I as we take our daily walk through the beautiful Bangkok, Thailand, and talk about some of our favorite subjects. Today, we are going to visit the Dusit Central Park, which is a brand new development. We watched it being built. I think they finished it maybe a few months ago. And it is amazing because I think the coolest thing about it is that it has a rooftop garden and walkway, which you'll see toward the end of the video with an amazing view of Bangkok. And we've been here a couple of times. It has an ultra luxury hotel and residences, and it's just really cool. It's at a perfect location. So I talk a lot about, having a business that is relying on you, and I talk a lot about what most of us had when we first started a business, which is just that, a business that relies on us. It's a service-based business because we had the skill and we were able to do a service. So you start with that skill, you sell that skill, and it's normal. And that's how almost every service-based business begins. But at some point, the goal shifts from I do the work to it works without me. And that shift, it requires design and not just effort. We don't think about that so much because we weren't taught that. We weren't paying attention because we just knew to work really hard. And so now we have to think a little differently. And so the three things that we must do to make that leap, this is very clean and very clear. And I believe that this will help a lot of us to start to redesign and know where we need to think. The first step is to extract what you know. So get it all out of your head. It's funny because I talk about this a lot, even in my planner. Monday mind dump is get it all out of your head, pull it all out. When you're doing a book project, pull it all out of your head. And really what you're doing is you are taking your own intelligence, lived experience, your skills, and the many, many years of things that you understand, and you're extracting it. You cannot scale what only exists in your brain. You have to ask yourself, what do I do every time I deliver this service? What are my steps, my decisions, and my standards? And you start documenting that. You do the processes, the checklists, the scripts. Even messy documentation is enough to start. That's the very first place because you know it, you've done it, and in order for you to give it to someone else or grow a team, you're going to have to put down the processes that you have. So the first step is get it all out of your head. Okay, ladies, I know this is probably going to be one of our hardest parts. Separate the work from yourself. You got to design the system. You got to stop thinking, I do this. I can only do this. I'm the one that's going to do this. I don't trust other people to do this. You have to get away from that. You have to start thinking, how is this done? And break it into little parts. And it doesn't have to be owned by you. So the parts could be lead generation, sales, delivery, follow-up. And then ask, which parts could someone else do with the right structure? What do I do? What is my methodology for each one of these things? Write that down so that you can give it to someone and train someone exactly how you do it and to meet your expectations. The third and final thing is you got to let someone else do it. Even if it's not right, even if it's imperfect at first. And I'm telling you, oh my goodness, almost like I say, hey, let me just yank your front tooth out. It is the hardest thing because your brain says they won't do it like me. What if they mess it up? Okay. But the truth is you don't need it to be perfect. You just need it to be repeatable. So you start with, what is my methodology? You start with, what do I do? Okay. So here's what you do. Just take one task, one process in one area and let someone else execute it. And then you refine from there and you get better from there and you make it better. So that's how you have to start. Now, once again, if it only works when you do it, you don't have a business. You are the business. Okay. And I love all of us amazing boss ladies, hustlers, and grinders. But, it's time for us to start creating a business that works for us and not us being the workhorse of the business. I'm going to tell you a little story about me that, is almost embarrassing, because a lot of the things that I talk about in this series are things that I have struggled with in the past and sometimes even have to remind myself today, because there's certain things that you're just good at and you don't think that anybody else is, or you feel like it can get done faster if you just do it. That is the wrong kind of thinking. And it requires practice to not have to try to do every single thing all the time. So just believe me when I say this is not meant to shame anyone or point fingers at anyone. We all need to make this transition, because did you know that some 80 to 90% of small businesses, that's a lot, are operating this way. So you're not alone. You're amongst many that are operating this way. So now we have to start shifting our thinking, because one of the messages I will be talking about soon is how do you start to think more globally? You can't if you're stuck doing everything. How do you start taking yourself out of your local market? How do you grow your business and scale? You can't if you're the one who's doing everything. So in order for us to scale, we have to start having this conversation.